Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, the 29th of July, 2022. We just had the new moon yesterday here in, I guess, like North America. There are parts of the world where it was yesterday, but it is what it is. So much research, honestly, done in the last like 24 hours, even that I don't even know where to start. A lot of discussions on flat Earth, and I highly recommend people take a look at Eric Dubay on YouTube. He has a lot of videos out, a lot of content out, with a lot of, like, there's the experts in the fields, like cosmonauts, astronauts, scientists, doctors, lawyers, physicians, physicists, nuclear appliances. I'm just kidding on that one. But experts, obviously, like multiple levels of government, like military officials as well, and coming out and saying that it is impossible that we are existing on this global plane as we're being led to believe, and it's only been in the last 500 where we have been manipulated into believing this by certain groups or organizations that also created other organizations and groups in order to deceive and lie to, right? And there are even like ancient, like the Bibles too, right, that discusses this flat earth with a firmament above. And if you watch like this video that I will share in this link on this video with Eric Dubay, it's an hour long. You can watch it on 1.5 speed to get through it, but there's just way too much compelling evidence, and how we've even faked like the landings that we've done on the moon, and like even how Mars would be an impossibility, and how like the stars and the sun and the moon, the sun and the moon being magnified, reflected onto this dome or firmament, whatever this sky glass is, and the luminaries, what we are considering to be the stars and the planets, are not planets. Like, they're not even like three-dimensional, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't even know what. Like, it's hard to describe what they are. But if you look at so many different images online before they get removed, it's not what NASA is showing you. And they always admit, and openly admit, that this is CGI. Everything they give to us is like overlays upon overlays, and created and fake. So it's sci-fi, and I promise you that. Like, and again, like this video. And then again, I hope people start doing their own research as well, and go on upgraded VPNs that are off of censored countries, and get this information. And more of this stuff is being censored, and more stuff about flat Earth, like the ridiculous stuff about it being like a pizza in the sky, like around like other globes, like no one believes that that are true flat earthers. Like, and we do believe also too that this is like a holographic simulated environment that's heavily impacted by toroidal fields, and these luminaries too are possibly like toroidal fields as well, that impact us differently. And so like the moon and the sun being reflected, and also being like electrical and magnetic in nature as well. And so, like, why lie about these things? And they do it because behind hidden doors, some people just find this hilarious. They think that we're so dumb, and it's really frustrating because a lot of people have been trying to share this information for many years, and they keep on getting canceled. Like, even like Stockwell Day in Canada, like he was like a political figure several years ago, and as soon as he started talking a little bit about this stuff, like, he was completely out, canceled. And that's why a lot more people too are talking about it. That's why Joe Rogan and like a lot of comedians, like when they get canceled, they're fighting back, right? And they're refusing to be part of like this narrative that a lot of people in the U.S. and North America are projecting, even with Matt Damon and that male general that transitioned into a female. And so like that was a representation like of America in a I think it was part of WEF or Davos, and so during a like really important like meetings, like this is like the representation. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but I am gonna say that it is a misrepresentation of the majority in this society. And it's because they're trying to project this transhuman agenda where we're vaccinated every few months. Their products, and they're all controlled by the same people. So even BlackRock, even the name is hilarious, because like if there is a center of the earth, like apparently this mountain or whatever it is, like in the middle, this Mount Mu is a black mountain or black rock, and so it's in the name. And they are also buying up massive amounts of property all over the world, including the Ukraine right now. And so Yeah. Um, so they have everything to lose, like NASA, and like who gets like billions of dollars a year of our money. And like anyone that's aligned with them, like all these government organizations that are aligned with NASA and planetary exploration and observation posts like all over the world, and so many other facilities that I'm not even able to think about. Like these are all people that are either not looking or paying attention like what they're doing. This is why I've always offered to go to Alert or Eureka, which is in our northern Canada, close to the North Pole, because I would actually do the work, right? Like I would actually observe the sun, observe the moon, like see about like light versus day, and take measurements and bring different types of equipment with me to see like beyond like certain distances that we apparently wouldn't be able to see objects at. So many different things I would love to explore there, but it costs money. It's all controlled by government in a lot of the areas, and again, you get jail time or threats to your life, and then just like not able to enter so many different areas, right? So whether it be like Middle Earth, Inner Earth, or outer extraterrestrial areas. And so it's unfortunate too, because there are rich and elite people that get to go to these places, and they talk, right? So they bring things back, and they show it, right? So that there's actually like the blue ice that you see that's possibly part of this firmament that is beyond, like, in Antarctica, hundreds of miles away, that a lot of scientists claim is there, and claim is part of this containment thing. Yeah, there's just like, again, like there's just too much evidence like showing this stuff, and too many people that would be experts in the field and actually on the ground, testing these things and bringing back the data that are, it's just too much, right? And so yeah, like there's just sorry, I'm going through my notes again. I was gonna, if you can hear me swiping through, you'll see that like even in the last 24 hours I've gone through a lot. Oh yeah, and so like even for satellites that are claimed to be above us and these space stations and stuff, this has all been debunked. We've asked questions about why we see water bubbles and air bubbles, and they completely dismiss those things. They don't talk about like how these satellites have like crash land in so many different parts of the world, but places that we're not even able to see. But oftentimes they also make mistakes, and they've landed in places again where there was just too much evidence. People had smartphones or phones or whatever, or cameras, and they were able to share this information, and we were able to see the solar panels and the helium balloons, and these are how we're getting these images above us, like in the sky, right? And so yeah, and so even water, like it can only be like level in a contained environment, and like I wish people would understand that. And there's even an Antarctica Treaty, by the way, that was created in the 1960s, I believe, by different countries, and that was literally to make it where like we are not able to explore beyond that little place where there's like a couple, like there's penguins and stuff like that, like a one little area, and you can't go without a guide, and then off you go. And I wish people would get off script too. So like even Neil deGrasse like asked about gravity like all the time. He's like, next question. I don't know. Like so he's so lazy, right? And like so many people. Oh yeah, and even Eric Dubay, like Joe Rogan had Eric Dubay on, like I had mentioned, and he said that he would love to debate Bill Nye or Neil or so many other people that are profiting off of the lies. Like he said that he would openly debate them, and they all have refused, and they're all waffled. And Joe Rogan has even asked Neil. He's just like, well, what about this point? What about this point? And he's like, oh, you know what? Like now they're below him. He's like, oh, I can't debate flat earthers, as if we're all like peons and insignificant human beings, even though we're bringing up so many different points and debunking so many misconceptions that it's just too much. And as soon as they're caught, they get so confused and waffle, and it's just uncomfortable. And it's just great to see, because they should be uncomfortable, because they're lazy, and they're allowing ego to get in the way, or they're just like not great people, and they're intentionally profiting, and they just don't care. Like they just, oh, it's so frustrating. But more and more information is coming out. The more people that speak out and talk about like the obvious differences between like solar and sidereal hours, and how like the fixed star, like, oh, sorry, they're not fixed stars, but the stars rotate and like do a rotation around the Earth at 23 hours and 56 minutes, and solar it's 24 hours. And So that would only be that would actually prove that like the stars are what rotates and that the Earth is stationary. There's a lot of government documents out there and have been for many years that talk about and calculate so many different measurements and design structures and things like that based on a flat, plain Earth that is stationary. And on that link that I'm gonna put on this video, that's also shown as well. Very interesting, very interesting stuff. And so, but yeah, even Carl Sagan's like infamous like model that he was like to debunk the flat Earth. Like he actually proved the flat Earth with it, and that's also included in the video. That's a very popular one, and even discussing crepuscular rays, like sunlight from the sun, like also disproves the globe theory, because it discusses that it would only be only if the sun was like perfectly parallel to the Earth, and it's not. That's very clear. And there's even like sunspots on clouds and stuff like that too. And the moon is self-illuminating as well. And so you look at any stone or whatever rock that you want to see, like it's never glowed, it's never bright. Like it's like this is a misconception as well. And but people were ingrained, like we have these role models and these idols that we were raised to love and admire. Once we like realize that like they may have been lying and misleading us, it's like it completely like destroys our foundation, right? So I understand how that feels. Because I believe in the globe, the Earth for many years. Like I have globes all over my house, but I also have a flat Earth map that I love, and it's my actually favorite one. So I'm wondering if subconsciously for like, because I've had that picture, that painting for a decade and a half, and it's funny how I never paid attention to it as much as I do now. Yeah, where am I going with this stuff? Even stuff about religion too, right? And I don't want to offend anyone, but there's people that are dead set on certain religions when there's so many similarities between so many different ones, right? That predate and postdate the ones that they believe in. So, and again with the similarities of like having the same birthday being the 25th of December. And also in astrology and in astronomy, there's a lot of links to that as well. Look at the solar eclipse, like the winter solstice, and then how there's like no movement or whatever for a couple of days, and then on the 25th of December, apparently this is also one that's like one constellation that's a unicorn is observable around that time. It's a very sacred date in so many different religions, like more ancient ones. And so Mithras and Jesus and Krishna and Dionysus and Ivaki and Horus, like all like the same birth dates, all like discusses like three kings or whatever you want to call it. All had 12 disciples, or people that followed them, born of a virgin. Like there's so many like examples, I can't even list them all, but for so many different beings. Oh, and the bright star in the east, all of them as well, and that's referring to Sirius, the star Sirius. So just more things to unravel and unpack, even in that, and just I don't know. When we put ourselves in a box, it's very dangerous too. So like even if like I would prefer this not to happen, but usually after like an extreme left rulership, there's usually extreme right, or whatever you want to call it, and it's oftentimes like a more ecclesiastic type of rulership, and then there's a period of balance. But I'm hoping that we don't have to get to that state, and so I do think that this was not planned at all, but I've been saying this for the last 12 months, that like based on gematria and all of that stuff, like it would lead me to believe that there's possibly going to be an election this fall, and now it's looking more and more like that's going to be something that happens just based on the messaging in the media and with the politicians. So and then I'm like possibly like a vote of non-confidence with the leadership in, and then conservative leadership that takes over. But I don't even know necessarily if that's a good idea, because as I discussed about WEF, the World Economic Forum, there are conservatives that are speaking out against it now, which is great news, especially Leslie Lewis, which is amazing. But Pierre, he was part of WEF, and I'm not sure if he still is, but like so the deconditioning needs to be done, right? Because these are not good organizations. And if we look at Syria and so many different countries in Africa and around the world, like they turn countries into poverty-stricken, chaotic countries, and then our resources are exploited, and then we would have no choice but to like blindly obey whatever governing body or corporate ownership, you know what I mean, says and dictates. And so I would prefer that not to happen, because we do have we could have the best country in the world. It's so frustrating, and it would be so like there might be like a period, like of a couple of years of like of a transitioning, but it wouldn't be as bad as the pandemic response that we've dealt with, and so many other issues that we're dealing with in the lives, and even education systems too. So part of WEF, like even Carleton University, I've shared this information, Toronto University, so many, Queen's University, all of these educational systems that have these people aligned with them, the agenda is all about like the Klaus Schwab reset agenda, and just do your own research on this, please, and because this should be like a reason to be concerned. And they're trying to paint this as like a way ahead, but this is gonna enslave us in this country, and just like make it implode, and then the solution is that they are going to provide us is not going to be good for us at all. And yeah, and that's why I'm at these YouTube videos all the time. Not because I want to become famous at all, but because like I hope that at some point the people that I have intentionally tried to reach out to and contact about a lot of this stuff would actually take this stuff seriously and respond back. So Glenn Gowan, he's like a municipal level here in like the Stittsville area. I've gone to the district leadership, Pierre Poilievre, who's also the conservative leader right now. Well, not really, I think it's Candace actually Bergeron, but he's kind of like the shadow, whatever, who they make as the like the leader, I guess, the figurehead, because he is popular. But yeah, I just I think that I'm gonna leave it at that today. Actually, no, I'll even talk more about lies. So even oh god, Leonardo da Vinci. So he had hidden like occult, means hidden, technology and capabilities, which was why he was far beyond his time too. This is what I mean, like when people that like are part of these groups, they like hide and like these things, these advancements or whatever, it doesn't level the playing field. It's not fair. And so he could possibly have been using these like optical devices, like magnifying or whatever, that he was able to see like an image, and then it would be projected onto like the piece of paper, whatever, on the canvas or on the desk, and then be able to like draw, like just trace over like this three-dimensional whatever drawing, excuse me, and make it very accurate. And then even the paint that he was using, it was like less than 2 macrons in thickness, and this was impossible even now. Like we can't duplicate that with like even like more advanced technology, right? Like the common paint thickness or whatever you want to call it now even is between 30 and 55 macrons, right? So he was beyond 2 macrons. Like this is like unheard of, right? And so again, more information coming out that shows that people were more advanced at certain times, but only specific groups of people, where other people were living in more austere conditions for so many different reasons that I would love to discuss with people. But I think I don't know, a lot of this stuff, like maybe the government needs to know this stuff, right? Because it's coming out. Eventually it's coming out, so like just get on board with it. Like I don't know what to say anymore about that. But yeah, on that note, I hope everyone has a wonderful day.